Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Alhamza Fadil Abbas. I'm a PhD student as Azman Hashim International Business School, UTM, University of Technology, Malaysia. I would like to welcoming all the participants for today's session. This session it's organized by International Student Society Iraq, and as usual, that we are going to record this session for the students who couldn't attend this session, and later it will be available online, inshallah. So today's session is very important for the whole students, especially for master and PhD students. Let's say it's most specifically for PhD because this is talking about publication and how you submitting your paper and what the process you are going to follow to get your paper accepted at the end. Okay, thank you for joining me for all the participants today, and I'm going talking about the session right now. Okay, so first of all, I would like to uh, talk about revision process. So you know that you as a PhD student, you need to make a draft and send it to your supervisor, and supervisor will make comments and give it back to you. And you need to also do the corrections and send it back to him, and so on until he accepts the work you did. So this is very important process, and this process is the same going when you're trying to publish your paper or sending your paper for specific journals. So the reviewers who are going to read your paper as are actually represent like your supervisor. So the most important thing in publications and in reviewing and revising, it's you need to be patient and you need to work with precisely and to concentrate about the comments you get. Sometimes you get frustrated, it's normal process, but at the end, if you are patient and dedicated, everything will going to be okay. All right. So if you have any questions, you can just type it on chat. You can type to me on the chat, and I will proceed now for the first session. So if my voice is clear, just please write down on the chat yes, so I can proceed. Thank you very much. All right, thank you very much. Okay, so let's move on. Thank you. Okay, so the first step you need to understand in any good journal, some journals asking you to have a cover letter. So cover letter is very important tip. So what's cover letter mean? It's mean that you need to send to the editor that the name of the name of the paper, and also the findings, and showing the motivation why you submit this paper to this journal, and 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 you need to showing that this paper is suitable or in the scope of this journal. This is very important. So first, your chance to speak directly to the editor and explain the main findings and motivation, highlight novelty and significance of results, and also state final approval for all co-authors. That's that when you write a paper, of course, you are not writing it by yourself. You will have a co-authors with you, and you need their approval as well before you send it to a journal. And same like state peer review revision, and note any special requirement and suggestion. And the last thing, there should be no conflict of interest. So conflict of interest, we will talk it later on the next slides. So this is the main idea. You need to understand cover letter, and this cover letter uh, is depend on the journal. Some journals they need for me to provide them a cover letter, and some they don't. So you need to read the author guidelines before you submitting the paper. Okay, this is very important. So as I said, conflict of interest is very important as well. It's showing you that if there are any conflict, financial conflicts, when you're trying to sending the paper to the journal, that like or any conflict with institutions, if you belong to some institutions or any personal belief, or any conflicts between the authors as well, the co-authors. So this is very important. There should be no conflict of interest, so you can proceed for the submission. Okay, so you need to take into consideration these two things: the cover letter and conflict of interest is very important. Now let's move to the peer review and responding to the reviewer. Okay, so what's peer review? Why we need to have why journal has to have sorry peer review, or there's a reviewing process. This is very important. So review or peer review, it's helping you to determine the quality, the validity, significance, and the originality of your research. So this is very important. As I mentioned, peer review is represent like your supervisor. There are some reviewers in your domain. They are specialists in your domain, and they are going to read your paper and criticize your paper and find any weaknesses and trying to make it more original and more valid to be published later. So also peer review, it's helped to improve the quality of the paper, as I said, and the publisher are outside the academic process and are not prone to prejudice or favor. And also publisher facilitate the review process by investing in online review system to providing tool also to help editor and reviewer. So peer review process is very important. Every good index journal, there is a peer review process there, and you need to put it in your consideration, and it's very fundamental. So this photo, maybe it's like a comic, but it's very important. It's showing you that from submission until acceptance, there's a lot of challenges you will face it during the process, during the way. So you need to be like, to be accurate and to be focused, and at the same time trying to do your best. And the most important part is to be patient, because from submitting a paper until accepting is a long process actually. Some papers, some journals take from 3 to 6 months, and also some journals take like 1 year. So we need to be patient. This is very important. Okay, so this is the diagram showing you the whole process and how it's work. It is very important. So let's see what's actually happened. Okay, so as you see on the left side, there is author, in the middle editor, and on the right side it's reviewer. Okay, so here on this, when you start, you read the author guidelines in the journal and you submit the paper. When you submit the paper to the journal portal, the editor will see if you follow the guidelines and the basic requirement met. Then, if yes, you will continue on to send your paper to the reviewers. If not, it will be rejected at the first stage. So you need to be careful when you're submitting a paper. You should follow the guidelines. Okay. And after he assigning to the reviewer, so reviewer, when they will need a time, some reviewers, they need like 2 months or 1 month to 2 months, maybe some reviewer 3 months. It depends on the journal. So they give their comments and recommendations and send it back to the editor. So the editor will collect the reviewer comments or recommendations, and the editor will decide, because the editor is the person who will take the decisions, not the reviewer. The reviewer just reading the paper and do comments and corrections on your paper. So if the editor see that uh, uh, your paper in this stage, sorry, there will be three options. Your paper could be rejected, or it will be revision required. You need to revise the paper, or it will be accepted. So most of the papers in this stage, let's say in a good journal paper, as I read, they said that they get rejected. Okay. And if you get revision, like you need to review or revise the paper, they will send it back to you. They will send it back to you. The editor will send back the paper to you, and you need to do the comments and to meet the comments of the reviewers. Okay. So if this step happen, let's say you pass half of the process of let's say of acceptance. Maybe you get acceptance after reviewing. Okay. And also if your paper very strong and there is minor corrections, probably you will get accepted from the first review. Okay. So this is process is very important, and you need to know how it's work and how it's done. All right. Good. So in this stage right now, is everything clear? You can write down on the chat box so I can proceed. If you have any question, you can ask me as well. All right, great. Any other students? Any other researchers? If you have any question, anything? No? Everything clear? Okay, looks like everything clear. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so also we need to understand that what are reviewers looking for in the paper. So it is very important that if you have like empirical paper with hypothesis, so it's important of the hypothesis you get in your paper. And the most important part is originality. Your paper should be original, and it should be not done before in any other paper in your field. Okay, and at the same time it will be clear progression through the paper, and also the paper should be well presented. If you meet these criteria or this let's say points or bullets, probably you will your paper it could be accepted. Okay, so you need to understand, very important, the novelty and the quality of the paper. It's fundamental to get your paper accepted in a journal. All right. All right, great. Okay, so let's move now to how to respond. Okay, how you respond to the reviewer comments. So you know that when you get the reviewer comments, sometimes they will be in a PDF file or in a Word file, and sometimes they will be like on the portal of the journal. So the most important thing is you need to be you need to be professional to answer the comments. So let's say, for example, on the left side, the reviewer comments say the method the author proposed is clearly wrong. All right. So this is one of the reviewer comments. So how you answer, how you respond to these comments, because you have to respond. So you should be very clear and you should be very criticized also, because sometimes the reviewer he didn't understand your paper properly, and then you need to remind him, or you need to clarify for him your work. Okay, so you cannot say like, yes, I know, we thought we could still get the paper accepted. So no, no, no. You should be very professional when you answer, and also you need to be polite. Even the reviewer maybe sometimes get some comments that you are not really like, but this doesn't mean you need to be like rude. So you need to be polite to respond to the reviewers. Okay, this is also a very important step when you get the comments from the reviewer, and to send them to respond to their comments. Okay. All right. Let's move now. All right. Okay. So now let's talking about the ethical publication, and this is also a very important step. And as you know, in authorship definitions, there are different authors. There's the first author, and there's the co-author, and there's corresponding author. So the general principle for the first author, mostly it's the one who finalize and who conceptualize the paper. So he's the one who is conducting the paper. So you, as a PhD student, you need to write a paper, and you will be the first author, and the second author should be your supervisor. Okay, this is very important during your studying the PhD. So conducting, supervise the data, analyze, and prepare presentation and interpretation of the results. So you are the main author. So that means you have the most contribution, the biggest contribution. It will rely on you because you are the one. Okay. And also there is the co-authors. The co-authors is the other colleagues, or researchers that they have the same interest, research interest. They would like to participate with you, and they have also a contribution in the paper. So like make intellectual contribution of the data, like data analysis or data interpretation, or reviewing each paper draft, and must be able to present with the results also, and define the implications and discuss the delimitation. Okay, so these are the co-authors. For the corresponding author, which is donated with, you can see the star. In any paper, you can see a star in the first name or in the second name, who is the corresponding author. Corresponding author is the person who sent or submit the paper to the journal. Okay, and the corresponding author, most of the papers, it should be the first author, because he is the one who work on the paper, and is the one who have the most the biggest contribution on the paper. Okay, so it will be the corresponding author. But some others maybe can be the second author, the third author. It can be anyone. But most of the papers, it's better to be the first author should be corresponding author. Better, okay? And also in ethical publication, there's abuse to be avoided. There's two types of authors. There's ghost authors and there's gift authors. So what does mean the ghost author? That's mean leaving out authors who should be included. That's mean you put author in a paper, and this author has no any contribution, and this is very issue and very big issue. So this is unethical in publication. So that's so in publication, each author need to be have a contribution in the paper. So it will be that all the authors in the paper have already contribute in the paper. All right, good. The second thing in the ethical publication is its plagiarism. So this is very important thing you need to put in consideration, you as an author. And when you write a paper, you rely and you know that you need to find other resources to build your paper, right? So these resources maybe you take from them, but in the same time, you cannot plagiarize. Okay, you need to do paraphrasing and proofreading more than one time, so that you can minimize the plagiarism percentage. So first of all, we need to understand what plagiarism means. Plagiarism is the appropriation of another person's idea, okay, processes, results, or words without giving appropriate credit, like including those obtained through confidential review of others, research proposal, and manuscripts. So that means you take plagiarism by taking other authors or other researchers' ideas without paraphrasing them. This is completely unethical. You need to put it in your consideration. The same thing going with your thesis, okay? When you do your thesis, you need to minimize the plagiarism similarities, and this we need to follow some. I will go into research it. Sorry, I will go to explain now, uh, which is called. There's some software that helping you to find the plagiarism similarities and give you a report. So, in plagiarism in a practice, there is can the plagiarism can be in words and can be in ideas, can be in diagram or figures, tables, can be in findings, can can be in information, writing, presentations, computer programs, and so on. All these type can be called plagiarism. So we need to be careful when you write your paper, and you need, after you finish the paper, you need to find a software that helping you to find the plagiarism or rate, okay, or percentage, okay. So first thing in plagiarism practice, copying word for word. When you do copy paste without paraphrasing, it's not acceptable. Okay, it's unethical when you do. Second thing, you need to, like, paraphrasing. Also, when you need to do paraphrasing and proofreading, and also sometimes you need to be careful from self plagiarism. Sometimes, like let's say you have your thesis, and you take from your thesis part of your work, and you need to publish it. So when you publish it, you need to be careful, because later, after your paper published, your thesis will be have more similarity, because you did a self plagiarize. You didn't do paraphrasing. This is very important. Okay. So as I mentioned at the beginning, like, plagiarism is easily detected, but is easily can be avoided also. So you can use any idea, phrases, and argument from resource sources already published. Just acknowledge the source and the original author, and include any directly copied text with quotation mark. So there are two main softwares that you can depend on. There are Turnitin and there are Authenticate. So here in Malaysia and in UTM especially, they rely on Turnitin. So Turnitin report is very important. They give you the percentage of similarities in your paper, or in your on your chapters, or in your thesis. So when you find the similarities, you need to paraphrase and proofread. How you do that? There are different software you can follow, like, like Quillboots. It's one of the biggest, or the most important softwares and famous softwares to do paraphrasing and proofreading, that helping you to minimize the similarities in the reports. All right, good. Now we're going to talk about promotion, your research, and for maximum impact. Before I proceed, if anyone have any questions regarding the ethical publication, I'm ready to read your questions. if you don't have, I can proceed. Okay, no question. All right. So, after publication, after you get your paper published, congratulations. Now your paper is already published. So the next step is very also important. So you can maximize the impact of your paper. That's mean many other researchers can read your paper and also get your paper cited, take more citations. So promotion your research for maximum impact is very important also. Okay, so the next step now. So why is promotion important? Why we need to promote our research paper after get published? So first, we saw before that the volume of research articles is growing as an accelerate pace, right? So for most researchers, it's real challenge to keep up with the literature. So it is really challenging. You need to know all the new literature, the last literature related with your field that you are going to. You as a researcher, you need to follow up with the few with the changes and with the new things in your work. Okay, and make sure your research gets the attention it deserves and ensure it doesn't fall enough to cracks. All right. So preparing your article, as I mentioned, that preparing, you need to spend time on making sure your paper is clear and concise, and also you need like sharing your research data, like how you sharing research data, like if you have data, if you have some documents or something, it's also important to share it with the journal also, and it will be available for other researchers to read and to also to take, and use easy to understand charts and professional illustration, and same use a clear and correct manuscript language. It's very important to put in your mind that the language of your of your paper is it's professional and it's understandable, because some journals, they give you some services to do like proofreading, you know. But after you paraphrase, you need to do proofreading. So they need to see that if the language it's already clear, and the manuscript is already ready to be published. Okay, it's very important also. And when you're promoting your article, there are different way you need to promote, like using platforms, like or using press release or article collections or share links. Okay, and these can, if you publish like in Science Direct or Emerald or Taylor and Francis or any other publisher, they ask you to promote your work. So how you promote that? You're using platforms like here I just see promoting your work, like in conferences, network, connect online, do poster, prepare a live summary. Okay, use your institution communication channel, prepare the audio slide, and like using Facebook, using LinkedIn, Twitter. So that's mean when you share your work and you share your published paper in a different platforms, that you maximize the paper impact, and you will get more citation as well. Okay, and the last thing, it's some platforms providing you a dashboard to do monitoring your article. Like Elsevier, they have this research dashboard showing how many how many students, or sorry, how many researchers they review your paper, and how many researchers has already cited your paper. Is very important you as a researcher to put in consideration. Okay, and that's it. That's all I have for today, and thank you very much.